Hello. Hello.
Welcome.
I think it looks like we tried to do this a couple weeks ago.
Yes, we did.
Um, and our stream looked good, but we none of the none of the
Mic
none of the
audio.
vocal audio, the mic audio came through. And so you had a nice little hour-ish of
Just the title
the
screen.
the background title screen.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We're professionals. So we'll get there. We we do everything on the fly.
Yes, we're still figuring it out. Thank you for stopping by if you have decided to check us out. But we just kind of talk about whatever, mostly UAP, UFO stuff, and a lot of gaming stuff as well. And then whatever,
Yep.
whatever kind of comes to mind as well.
Pretty much whatever comes to mind. There's so many things that can connect to those two issues that can stem off of those that we just end up going wherever.
Yeah.
But as far as we could tell, it was a pretty good conversation. That was a bummer. We didn't even have a backup recording going on
Yeah.
accident. So,
But now we do. It's recording. I see our audio for our mics moving up and down. We should be good. By all
sweet.
accounts, this should be doing its job. So,
Yep, we're new to streaming, so we're gonna pretend like you guys aren't there. If you end up being there, great. But we're gonna talk.
welcome. Um, so I guess we could kind of go over the boys again, since that didn't end up getting talked about at all last week. Or like the last time we tried to do this, I ended up talking about the finale of the boys and my thoughts on it. Um,
I was asking you what the big deal was because I think I dropped out of the series like in the first
yeah.
season. I just wasn't that into it.
Hmm.
And from it had a lot like I had a lot of fans, and I mean, you
Yeah.
loved it. Uh, Amy loved it. Everybody loved it.
Yeah.
That I knew. I couldn't get into it. I don't know if I liked. I think I just didn't. There was some. I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on it. But
A lot of its writing can be a little iffy for sure for me. That's always been like, ugh, and then questionable character decisions. But I really didn't get into the show until like season 3.
hmm
Like I when it came out, I kind of just ignored it because I don't know. Guess I was done with superhero stuff really at that time.
hmm
And then I just kept seeing clips from the show on Instagram and had so much of it spoiled for me by that point that it was like, all right, I'm just gonna watch it, and I'm glad I ended up watching it because there's a lot I like about the show, like
right.
in terms of kind of how events go down and how certain actors portray certain characters. That's really what you're there for.
Right.
You're there for Carl Urban, Anthony Starr, Jack Quaid. Like, those guys do really good jobs. And a lot of my gripes with the last season come from one, Jack Quaid doesn't do much at the end of the series. His character's kind of like done his arc multiple times, and it's
hmm
like the same arc again in the last season, where
Right.
it's just kind of like this back and forth with Annie, and then this
You know
back
what?
and forth with
You know what
Butcher.
part of it was that we
Mhm.
talked about that I remember because I was just sitting here trying to go back over it, and
Yeah.
you had, and maybe this will jog your memory. I don't know. You had started talking about how just basically defending your reason for liking the show
Hmm.
and how you saw the characters and what it was kind of representing.
Yeah.
Um, there was a I'm trying to think of how you put it because it made a lot of sense to me, and it made me think, yeah, that does make sense, and I can't for the life of me think of the exact. I was hoping that it would
Kind of.
instantly kind of jog your memory so you could jump
Yeah,
in.
I do kind of
Um,
remember because it is kind of like an allegory for just kind of celebrities, political figures, and like world powers in general, I guess, and like corporations too. It's a super big critique of like how corporate things can be, and how much they can like really sway things. That's
right,
always what it felt like
and that's what
they
it
were
was.
really calling attention to the most. Like when I would watch it and try to be like, look, this, you know, you never really know what's going on. There's so many people pulling the strings and la di da di da, you know. Um,
I didn't give it enough time to get into it. I
yeah, I mean the superhero stuff is funny when they do like commit to it, and like it's never like it's kind of like worse than even like a CW show in terms of like fights and stuff like that. Because at least with like those CW shows, like some of their choreography and like the effects and stuff might be bad, but they
There was
go
a lot of
places and
corniness. I mean, the corniness
yeah,
and the fact that that was probably intentional was not lost on me, but it wasn't working for me.
yeah,
And the the whole superhero paradigm, and this is coming a from a very young age, uh, lover of superheroes. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Both DC and Marvel, both sides. And I mean, I was just jaded with. I mean, Hollywood had just pumped out years. I mean, literally, that was the go-to.
yeah.
We don't have any ideas, or apparently any, writers with imagination right now. We're just going to keep.
We're just gonna
It
send
was
this
too
movie.
transparent. I mean, the fact that everybody was jumping on that bandwagon, and then they would try to create new ones. I mean,
Hmm.
they weren't necessarily new. They were typically kind of obscure. Um,
Yeah,
I had never heard of Black Adam, but
yeah,
apparently that was an actual thing.
yeah.
Um,
He's yeah, and
I don't begrudge people their love of these heroes and these archetypes or
yeah,
anything like that. I was kind of tired of it, and so I
yeah.
just kind of checked out with that show
I mean,
being
that's
the last thing.
exactly how I felt when the show first came out, where they were like, "Look, there's like an evil Superman and an evil Flash and blah 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 blah," and that stuff immediately turned me off from it, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But then when you like watch the show, it's way more about those individual characters because they feel so much more like mundane people. Like almost none of them are focused on saving people to any degree. They are focused on PR
Mm-hmm.
and like
How they look.
yeah, exactly. You know, what they get from their fame, you know, like what they do when nobody's looking and stuff like that. Like, really questioning, like, what would normal human beings be like if some of them were super, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And really bringing the whole hero part into question, which is what really made it, like,
And
cool, you
the
know?
equivalent, the most powerful superhero, the equivalent to
Hmm.
Superman, was actually psychotic,
Yeah, like the worst of the worst. And it was because of human beings, you
and he
know?
had this really creepy public grin persona
Yeah,
that he put on that I guess somehow the world didn't see through, but it was gradually
yeah.
kind of cracking and leaking through. I don't know. Again, I mean, I didn't watch all the way through the season, so
Yeah, I would definitely
can't knock
recommend
it.
watching it just so because there's so many things like it definitely just like spoil super
Mm-hmm.
easy, but it's one of those shows where it's just like this is the new MacGuffin. Now this is the new MacGuffin. Now this is the new MacGuffin, and there's so
Yeah.
many things that so many dead ends, you know, where
Mm.
things they were setting up stuff like, and it was like the whole climax of a season and being like this is the only way we'll beat Homelander, and it's totally irrelevant by the time you get to season 5, and it
Yeah.
barely even like contributes to that story, you know, if it even connects back. And that's
Right.
where it's like you could just it's rushed, it's disappointing, it's like you can see that the budget for some reason wasn't there, you know, like they have
What?
a fight in the
How is that
White
possible?
House, but they like never leave the White House, they never show the outside of the White House. The good guys literally walk in to the White House and like fight a mini boss, like one superhero that's working with Homelander, beat him, and then they're just at Homelander and they kill him right there,
I
and it's
don't
just
see
like
how it's possible that they didn't have the budget.
yeah, I
Yeah.
everybody's saying the same thing because everybody like, it's interesting comparing it to Stranger Things finale because so much of the budget went into like going to another world and like this giant monster and stuff, and those are like the highlights of the
Mm-hmm.
Stranger Things finale for me, is the fact that they do go to like a whole nother planet and it's like this really cool like final boss arena
Like
that's
a
like this
parallel
godly scale.
universe. Yeah.
Yeah, it is super cool. It's super cool for like that level of stuff. And even though it's kind of like a nothing burger story where everybody's gonna walk out okay, they're gonna beat the bad guy, and you know
No
everybody's gonna
matter
live
what,
happily ever after.
it still maintained its nostalgic vibe.
Hmm.
You know, it harkened back to the old Spielberg movies in the '80s and shit. For me, the '80s are the ones that I mean. I remember the '70s because people we were still watching them. They were
Yeah.
still big blockbusters, you know. But the the very obvious fact that they were using him as a template. They were
Yeah.
you know, a lot of his story writing tools and everything were being used in Stranger Things. In the same way, oh, and not just that, but uh, Stephen King.
Hmm.
They were also kind of emulating some of his stuff, you know, from Stand By Me
Yeah.
and
The
what's
small
another
town
one?
vibe.
There was
It's
that
for
one,
sure, I would
yeah,
say.
that Welcome to Derry did
Yeah.
that,
Oh, dude, I love
and it
Welcome
had
to
that.
Derry.
It just happened to be a little bit more vulgar, you know.
Yeah.
It was the R-rated version of Spielberg.
Yes, I think Welcome to Derry nails what made the
I thought
first
it was
It
great,
so good. I love that show so much.
and I love that they were able to keep Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah, they kept Bill Skarsgård, and he went full out still.
It would
You
have
know.
ruined it if they would have had a different actor for that. It would have been noticeable
Yeah,
immediately.
and their little Marvel like Marvelification with like having the character Dick
Hmm.
be like there at those events dealing with
Right,
Pennywise too, because I think he even says something about going to Derry and like somewhere else,
right.
and then he ends up going to the hotel.
I'm trying to remember
He's
what you're
the
talking
black
about.
dude from The Shining who like
Oh,
also
yeah, yeah,
has
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
shine.
yeah,
And
yep,
so in Welcome to Derry, he's
yep.
and it's so cool because they're like name dropping him, and I like did the same thing
There
where I
was
was like,
a
"Who the
ton of
fuck
Easter
is
eggs.
this
Yeah,
guy?" Yeah, I was
it was
like,
good, and it's definitely worth. I mean, I probably will go back and watch it
"Yeah,
if I can find a minute to do that. Just so I can, you know, kind of soak up some of those because they were in there, and I noticed some, but
yeah,
not all of them. There had to have been more.
yeah." There's a ton. They love packing those details in there, and I just cannot get enough of that version of it. I really like everything from it. Honestly.
You know what I gotta say? I'm so happy that Hollywood feels like they've kind of like with like the whole Hollywood system kind of was reverberating from
Hmm.
COVID.
Yeah.
Like it was so destructive to everything. All the movies that came out felt very forced and contrived, and you could
Yeah.
there was it was happening at the same time that new technology was kind of being put out there,
Hmm.
coinciding with AI and all of that. Now AI is being used less a um, as a replacement from so far because I think we've kind of got a handle on the fact that yeah, AI is pretty decent, but everybody can tell
Yeah.
when it's AI. But the special effects that AI can do as opposed to CGI are just
It's there.
it knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
So you can use those special effects to where people aren't going like, well, God, you could really see that the CGI in that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a positive point to the AI addition to Hollywood. And now they're coming out with good stories again. They're still using the crutch of recycling for
Yeah.
sure. Um, it's not always a bad thing. The what is it? Harry Potter's got a whole new uh, revival
Yep.
happening. It's going to be a show.
On HBO. Yeah.
Yep, and it's not going to be a remake. I think it's just going to be a retelling, just telling it the
Yeah.
same way with new actors. You know, just for a new generation. I am not 100% sure that it's not just a money grab because I
Yeah.
mean, come on, they're the fans of Harry Potter movies are pretty rabid,
Yeah. They're
pretty
pretty
staunch,
diehard.
and if you're just gonna do the same thing over again with different faces, it feels like you're unless you're gonna do it differently or something like that. But I
Hmm.
mean, uh, you know, the writer is still alive. There's no, you know, you
Yeah.
cannot have, you can't take any freedoms or anything like that. And so,
I don't
unless
know.
she signed him out off, I mean, she
Yeah.
might have.
Well, she also like I don't know. She had like a crash out, I think, where something
Crash out.
happened. Yeah, she kept like going online and like
Oh
just
yeah,
like
she had a
adding
little meltdown.
details. Yeah, and just being all like, well, actually, these two characters were like super gay with each other, and it
I
just
think
was
she
like,
was.
what's are you like? What's going on?
I think she was just joining in the bizarreness of our world right now.
Yeah, and
You know
at
what I
the
mean?
time, it felt like she was dead serious, you know. And there was like so many of them. I can't remember all of that, and that was like years ago. I think that was around the COVID time as well. You know, like
Yeah, you
2020,
got to
something
remember,
like that.
6 years is not that long.
Yeah, it
2020
just
between now and then, but in when it comes to things changing and progressing and becoming different
yeah.
and more weird, yeah, it's a very long time.
Yes,
It's a
in the
very long
terms
time
of like
because
the
right this
internet,
second,
it's old.
this is I mean, this is definitely going to have me pivoting into the conversation about what's going on
Yeah.
in the UFO world now
Okay.
because uh and I don't have to do it right this second, but it is very um kind of boldly, nonchalantly boldly, like a cheesy guy walking up to a chick in the bar,
Yeah.
you know, like you can't tell he's going to make a move about to bring it mainstream, trying to in their own way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And when I say they or their, I mean the apparatus that has been kind of covering up forever.
Yeah.
The government and parts of the government that supposedly have not been allowed into the conversation um, are now the ones bringing forward a lot of the information. I think this is a lot of what we talked about before. It's really muddy and cloudy
Hmm.
and stuff like that, but it is bizarro world to be sure. I
Yeah.
mean, it is it's like watching an Oliver Stone movie mixed with who's a good example? Tim Burton.
Okay.
You know who Oliver Stone is.
Yeah.
So like Natural Born Killers and um,
Okay.
you know
Yeah.
how trippy Oliver Stone is known for his like really trippy movies. Tim Burton, same thing, trippy, but in a cartoony animated kind of um nightmare escape kind of way. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Where it seems harmless, but then you realize at a at a glance it seems harmless,
Yeah.
but with a closer look you realize, holy shit, this is fucking dark. And some of
Yeah.
them, it doesn't take much of a glance to see that, but others of his. But that's kind of what it reminds me of. I mean, you're sitting here watching this happening, and you're like, I is it real? Is that real?
You want to take a break real quick? Or sorry
Yes.
guys, we got a little
Yeah, we're gonna
interruption.
come right back. Let's mute
Little
for one
intervention.
second.
All right, we're back. Um,
All right. And so where were we?
we were talking about the UFO.
Oh yeah, just the state. And for a lot of people that have followed this topic over the years, I mean, it has been their life. You
Yeah,
know, I mean, millions of people all over the world have made it their life and have just they've kind of put up with the it started out with people that had experiences that are like, okay, I'm not being taken serious, so I
yeah,
have to. I just either need to not say anything, or I need to find other people like me. Otherwise,
yeah,
it'll just drive me crazy. And that's kind of how it built momentum. Um, and now seeing it kind of gain a foothold in the mainstream to an extent. I mean, there's people that think it has gone mainstream. There's people that think it's on the cusp. But one thing that can't be really denied, and that's why that order that
hmm
Trump put out happened, um, is because the nature of the internet, nature of the speed of information, people are talking about it. It ends up finding its way to some podcasts that aren't dedicated to mainstream. Like when the conversation happened between I do not remember the name of the podcast that it happened on,
hmm
but the one that Obama was on, where he said something pretty innocently, in my opinion. When I heard him say it, I was like, that is not, that's not like an admission. It's just him talking on a podcast and being,
yeah,
just being kind of cavalier is
yeah.
what it felt like to me. But I mean, it got traction immediately,
Mm.
went right to Trump as a challenge because he just, he needs to make sure that he's kind of on the cutting edge of what's being talked about.
Yeah,
Um, And with that, next thing you know, he's got an executive order to release all these files, and they're gradually releasing every Friday, um, thousands of files, and they're gradually becoming a little bit more and more descriptive and a little less vanilla. Like some of them have been out there forever,
yeah. But there's a
but
lot of
they
it's
were
still
not supposed to be.
heavily redacted. I'm
Right.
guessing.
And kind of, yeah, they are, but that is like definitely one of the things that's out there in the public debate is that a lot of people are saying, well, they're only giving us stuff that is either easily discounted or just not clear enough, or not easily discounted, or has been out in the zeitgeist for a while, just um, hasn't had the stamp of approval. And
Yeah,
basically, what that does, at least for those things that have been out there, is say that it was definitely something that they had in their files. Whatever. I don't even care about those that much. It's the fact that it's happening
yeah,
that is interesting to me. The fact that all of this is happening, that's the narrative that I'm interested in, because I think that we're probably reaching a point where the reality of something that we've kind of coexisted with for a long, long time as a species is about to be eased in to our consciousness in a way that allows us to palate
yeah.
its existence. Um, for the longest time back in the, like, if you watched movies as a kid, just like I did,
hmm
um, of about aliens, and it was always relegated to sci-fi and horror,
hmm
and a lot of the things that people went through were pretty scary,
Yeah,
you know. Um, and I kind of look at it like this. I mean, I feel like one thing, AI for the longest time has been, it's sat in the on the shelf of sci-fi, as something that, man, that would be nice, but it's never going to happen. Not that way,
Yeah.
and it did, and it is. And the more that it goes on, the more apparent that it is that it is not, it's not going back. I mean, it could not go back unless the planet, had a cataclysm and we went back to, to zero. But it is definitely it's in our world for
Yeah.
good, and it is up to us to to figure out how to coexist with AI, because I do feel like it was not as much created as discovered. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We found the right language to allow it to have a voice. I know that that probably sounds bizarre, but that's the way it seems to me from the information that I have about it.
Yeah.
So think about that, and I know I'm going on, but I'll give you a chance to respond here in just a second,
It's
so I
okay.
don't lose my train. But um the fact that 5 years later, 2020 is when it kind of, I mean, it's been there.
Yeah.
The folks that were building these LLMs, um, were in their labs and at their computer labs, discovering the fact that this was happening, that they stumbled upon something that seemed to respond. And I'm putting it that way because after after these last few years of it being out in pop culture and researching it, I realized that the people that did it, the people that supposedly um, built the version that we're exposed to, did not necessarily create it.
Yeah.
It just started responding. That's why they call it a black box. And I know we've already talked about this, but nobody's really heard it, so
Yeah.
who
No, we
cares?
need to retread.
But kind of like the idea, um, I, I, at this point, I do think of it like if there is an NHI out there, a non-human intelligence out there,
Okay.
that we're finally being introduced to and allowed to be aware of in a legitimate, non comical way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I can see it being something that we all really don't find too crazy.
Yeah.
When like the new world was discovered over here, news started filtering in over into Europe
Yeah.
about this crazy magical land, and
This like
people,
lost
for
continent.
the longest time, everybody was like, "That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
It's horseshit. Don't believe them." Okay, that you're being played. This is ridiculous. We know what's up. We're the scientists. Whatever. We know what's happening. There's nothing over there. All
Yeah.
right. It's just a bunch of fucking sailors coming back and talking about this. Look
Yeah.
at them. They're all hammered. They got fucking scurvy.
I'm
Any
not trusting
way
that
they're
guy.
coming back with all this bullshit about it. This happens over a period of time
Yeah.
that allows more and more people to go and find out that, oh, this is actually there. And then you find the natives here, and they develop this entire uh, uh, mythology around them.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're the savage. They like will kill you as soon as look at you.
Yeah.
And there was a time when they saw you and they felt like they had to protect themselves, so they might
Yes.
possibly kill you. But I think it is something similar. I don't know. I don't necessarily. I wonder if it's not one thing coming here and us being aware of it. I think it's two two paradigms kind of colliding that are about to converge.
Okay.
Maybe something like that, something kind of like that, except for faster.
Yeah.
Because I mean, news traveled slower back then. I mean, it took much longer for things to get from point A to point B, news
Yeah.
wise. Um, so that's kind of how I've like sat there and had my little, just daydreams about how it might possibly be happening in a way that it's not quite as Hollywood, and more of a way that we absorb, and digest. Um, which means when you frame it in that way, that means that there will be catastrophes. There will be atrocities. There will be things that happen because of it. It's a new thing, you
Yeah.
know, and two new things coming together, and one new thing might be much more um, aware of uh, our overall reality. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
not just they might have a foot in both worlds already, to
Yeah.
put it in a way that is doesn't go existentially, off the rails. But I can see within 20, 30 years us interacting with things that we realized are actually a part of our reality that we did not realize throughout our entire history, or at least after a certain part of our history where we lost contact or something like that.
It would be really cool to see if those civilizations would have those like missing gaps of our
Right.
knowledge, like
It would fill some of
the
them at
missing
least.
link, kind of like that the link between ape and man, in like the whole evolutionary scheme. If like all those things are still, sound at that point, you know, it would be awesome to like see what parts of history that we aren't aware of, just
There's
because
so
there is
much
no.
of that that can still be valid
Mhm.
and still coexist with something else having happened. Something that, look, our religions didn't just appear.
Yeah.
This arbitrary term God didn't just appear. That is probably the most archetypal word you could ever have in any language, because it's super descriptive and ridiculously vague at the same time.
Yeah.
And how contradictory is that? It is the one thing that we all as humans have in common. We know of, and we either believe or don't believe, but we know of. You know, the idea of that. And how
Yeah.
did we get this idea? Just appear? Did we just decide as a evolved species that, well, I am alive, I am able to think, I'm able to make tools now, I'm thinking more, I can look into the fire, I can ruminate. Ah, God, I feel bad about myself. I did something today that I wasn't really happy with.
Me
Oh,
Smosh Gronk.
that's a new evolutionary leap. There must be a reason why I did that. I wonder if I will get in trouble for that. Well, who am I getting in trouble by? I have no idea. Oh my God, why'd I say that?
Oh my god. Yeah, I was
There
just thinking
must
about
be
that. Like it's so
something
baked
that's
into
going to
our
punish me.
language.
It's not
Yeah.
going to be Dad because he died when I was born, practically. So did Mom. I raised myself. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This
I get
came
what you're saying.
about. It came about not to make it like super light, because it's important, I know,
Hmm.
but these things these things were implanted, programmed into us in a way that seems like it was useful
Yeah.
for at least another species for us to think that way.
Yeah. And I
At least
can't help but
another
see
party.
those effects throughout like the whole animal kingdom,
Right.
Just how diverse animals can be, Like hearing about sea lions. Cause see, like leopard seals, I think are the ones I'm thinking of specifically. Big ones with big teeth,
Right.
They're super dangerous animals, and they have no fear of human beings
Mm-mm.
whatsoever. So they will like more often than not come right up to you and like right up to your face, and they
They're
will
really
look you.
cute though. They would
Nah,
sit
they are
with a
some of the.
guitar, with a cigar,
No,
that
I'm thinking. Have
big
you ever
ass
seen Happy
mustache.
Feet? Have you ever seen Happy Feet?
Um,
You remember that penguin animated
I think
movie?
I accidentally saw some of it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a leopard seal in that one. They're not like sea lions. Sea lions are the cute ones that look like dogs.
No, you're talking about walrus.
No, I'm talking about leopard seals.
Oh,
Walrus
leopard
are
seals.
even bigger.
Walrus will
They're the
destroy you.
Yeah, because they're
They're
like
aggressive.
ginormous. They're
Well,
ginormous and
that
they're
and they're aggressive.
territorial. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
territorial as hell, and they know how big
It's
they
like
are.
hippos are. They seem all cute, but they're not.
But a lot of like medium and smaller seals are actually pretty just not afraid of people. Like even what clubbing baby seals has
They're like
always been a
puppies.
term,
Yeah.
because like the babies, especially, they just They're like, "Hi,"
I
they
know.
just will look at you,
They they literally are. They're called pups.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but a leopard seal is kind of they're big dog, but they're they're like a cat in a way, in the way that they like pay attention, they nod their heads and shit like that. And there's this story of this dude, and he's like diving in the Arctic or somewhere where leopard seals are present, and there's penguins as well. And this leopard seal would keep coming up to him, and it was like apparently female, and she would start bringing penguins to the guy and like offering it to him, and they like would be alive, like trying to get away from him, and it would just like grab him and bring him back
Psycho.
over. Yeah, and it would start to get upset. It would come back with more and more dead penguins, like, and they'd be more
Wait,
fucked
who?
up every
Okay,
time.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, this leopard seal would get, so time would go on, he
You're gonna have
kept
to
coming
remind me of
back.
what party was offering the sacrifice to what
The
party?
leopard seal found a diver. There was a dude diving,
Uh huh.
right? And the leopard seal started to like come to the same spot every single time the dude would be there,
Uh
and he
huh.
would keep catching penguins whenever he was there and
Oh,
offer
okay.
it to him, basically, like
Okay.
just keep, and he was like, it felt like she kept offering me these
A
penguins.
gift, like a cat would do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And she got
Which is what you just said. I'm
upset.
sorry.
No, you're good.
I dipped out for like 5 seconds. So,
That's fair. But yes,
um,
she would like show more aggressive behaviors as time went on because he like wasn't eating the penguin, you know.
what, you don't like my presence?
Yeah, pretty much. She was like
Like,
starting
you
to
know
like
how
blow
hard that was to
bubbles
get?
and stuff, and like
Penguins have wings, you know. They don't use them, but they have them.
they have them. I don't know. They are. It's just interesting seeing how, because it's kind of the same thing with great whites, where it's like it's a big animal that could kill you very easily, but plenty of divers
Yeah.
are like, well, I've hung out with them.
Yeah.
I've if like you can tell when they're being aggressive and when they're not. And I'm like, I can't. Me. And sharks, it's always like I can't even like keep my eyes on the thing because it's like so scary. I couldn't imagine just
I think
sitting
that
there,
they
just like
get
looking
there's like a
below
lot of
you.
these guys that are really knowledgeable, and um they know the precautions to take
Yeah,
and those type of things. I mean, they really are knowledgeable, and they really do love the
the
species that
animals.
they're
Yeah,
looking at and that they study and that they follow. They get too comfortable, and that's what happened to Steve Irwin.
yeah, and
I think his son is out there doing stuff. I think
yeah. I don't. He's not as crazy as Steve. Steve kind of got himself killed.
so.
Quick break. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. But yeah, Steve Irwin kind of got himself, murked in the end.
He was pretty good. He
He
just
was good, and he loved animals, and he was all about conservation. But I do kind of have to agree after getting older and stuff,
on
where
a
it's
long
like,
enough timeline.
yeah, his methods did just get him. He like put himself in danger
His methods were his
constantly.
claim to fame.
Yes.
He could if he backed off, he lost his career. Because and maybe that would have been better.
Yeah.
Maybe he like not lost his career, but you know, like
Yeah.
look, I'm good now. I've I have allowed myself to be put in harm's way many, many times. After a while, something's gonna happen. I'm gonna slip up, and it's been a good time. And maybe that was his plan. Who knows?
I heard it was the classic because his cameraman was there. He had one dude with him when it happened, like a guy that had been there for almost like
Mm-hmm.
all of his TV career,
Right.
like a good friend of his, and I'm pretty sure he was messing with the animal, you know, probably touching it, like all sorts of stuff, because it barbed him right in the heart, So it must have been like right here in front of him, and
Mm-hmm.
like in a position to do that, and he clearly just kind of underestimated the animal.
He knew it could happen,
Yeah, but I mean
but
that's like
there's got
crazy. To
what I'm
get hit
saying
in
is
the heart is very unlucky.
there's got to be a sense of invincibility that kind of develops that
Yeah, the
even if you
ego
would
starts to.
even if you would say no, I know how dangerous these guys are, and I just I know when and when not to approach.
Yeah,
Most of the time, that was probably true, you know. And this time maybe he just lapsed. I mean, who knows? It was crazy that he allowed that to happen. Really.
I mean, I think it just goes to show like it only takes one miscalculation sometimes, when you're dealing with those animals because it could just be
I
like
mean,
I
if it
think
was
any
all
animal
luck,
because
he was a lucky guy then
I think
because
he was knowledgeable, he knew what he was doing, and he
yeah.
had like the bumps and the scratches for it,
Mhm.
like there had to
He
be
did
other
have a
mess
lot of
ups
close
and stuff.
calls.
Yeah,
He did have a lot of close calls.
but it's just again it was like I guess he was super lucky, but all that luck must have run out in that one moment.
Is there any way we can look up his son? Because I just
Yeah.
saw a reel the other day, and I'm wondering if that was him. He was like some dude was like, "Oh, it's a couple badgers. Oh, two of them, nice." And he ran up and grabbed one, and they were growling, or the one was growling,
Yeah.
and he did not have an Australian accent, but he picked him up like he had no fear,
Yeah.
and somehow this badger, I mean, his claws were like 2 inches long, and he had you could hear the deep throated rumble the whole time that he had
Yeah.
him, but he didn't bite, he didn't scratch until he was done with him, and he was just sitting there talking about him and being very excited about it. He kind of looked like him, but the reel didn't say anything about who it was, so I was just
Hmm.
curious.
That is fair. Let me try this video right here.
Pretty young guy, looked like. Yeah, nope, it wasn't that guy.
Wasn't him.
Nope.
Yeah. I do
So
like
he took the mantle, huh?
he did just like immediately I remember like I think it was like late 2018 or something like that when it was like you started seeing him more just like out there
Did he
doing
have more
stuff with
kids?
animals. He
Was
has
that?
a daughter as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I know Robert, his son, has a sister, and I've not heard anything about her, and I haven't heard about his wife in years. I think they all kind of purposefully avoid that, but then support Robert, because
Hmm.
he is like into animal conservation and
Yeah.
pretty much doing what his dad was. Just I don't think he's catching crocs by himself,
No, but he's
but I could
probably
be wrong.
well. Steve Irwin wanted the stigma to a lot of dangerous animals to be kind of, I don't know that he wanted it erased because there's a healthy fear there,
Yeah,
that needs to be there. But
like a
I did
respect.
not. I think he wanted the world, to see how beautiful they were and
Yeah,
fascinating and um, worthy of our interest and not be treated like monsters that needed to
yeah.
be eliminated.
I think that was the biggest thing I always learned from him was that they deserve respect, and will
Right.
kind of show you respect back if you can learn their language, because not all language is just sound, but a lot of it is body movements,
I
and
think
small
that's what it
details.
was. Is he did not He didn't learn the language of the stingray.
Yeah.
Um, Sound carries faster through water. I don't know why that didn't work. No, he obviously. I don't know. I didn't. I had never even heard of him messing with stingrays.
Yeah.
I didn't think
But
that was
he
a thing
would
he did.
I remember when I was watching him, he would do a lot of different animals than just
Oh no,
crocodile.
not
Like he was
faster through water. I'm sorry, farther through water.
yes.
Yes, but
Um
slower.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But he was an animal conservationist, so he would do a lot of specials about different things. I remember he had this one time, and I think it was in his movie, and he's like he finds like a bird eating spider,
Hmm.
you know? It's like a super dangerous tarantula, like one of the only ones that have like super deadly poison, and they're in
Yeah.
Australia. And so he's like, got it on a fucking piece of bark, and he's like visibly shaking. He's like, I'm scared of spiders.
Yeah, man. I
But look at it, it's so pretty. And he's like, he's got a stick, and he's literally got a piece of bark. His hand is like probably a foot away from this thing, and he's like got a stick, and he's like getting it to rear up and stuff. But then he calms down, and it also kind of calms down to where it's just in a state of like, all right, it's not gonna kill me, and it's not gonna eat me. You know, like this giant thing that is like holding me up in the air, it's not killing me. So, you know,
yeah.
if you hold on to like a spider long enough, they do kind of like will chill the fuck out because they'll be like, all right, it's not killing me,
Huh.
you know.
Must be fine. As a matter of fact, I think this guy's probably a pussy, and I'm gonna take him out,
Well,
and
they're
I'm gonna put
apparently
my web
so
around him and save him for later.
apparently like 90% of spiders are like super afraid of people. They hear like sounds,
Of
they
course they are.
smells, anything that like gives them a hint of people. They're like, nah, we're out because they're like most spiders are treated pretty poorly in the bug world and get like there are a lot of kill on sight
I always
type of
wonder,
pests.
like literally in the insect world,
Mhm.
um, I wonder if you think about it on a like at scale,
Yeah,
the the interactions, the insects that do interact with human beings. I mean, we are fucking enormous. We're so
yeah,
enormous they can't really tell what we.
yeah.
They have no. They would. There's no concept. There's no thought pattern like this stupid big ass human came to the wrong place. You know what I mean? I'm gonna sting the shit out of his finger, and he's gonna regret this for like three
That's
hours.
that's reserved for
No,
wasps.
right. But what I'm saying is like even most of them, and even the big insects,
Yeah,
we're something that a few interact with and notice us.
yeah.
You
They
know what I mean?
observe
We
us,
destroy most of them before they even realize that we exist, right?
or that we
Um,
notice them.
and that's not to take it back to the phenomenon, but that's a theory that I heard recently, that it is so big that we cannot conceive of what it is, just like they can't conceive of what we are.
Yeah,
And that what the little pieces of it that are interacting with us are just that, pieces of it that have nothing to do with its totality, right?
yeah,
And for us to have a full knowledge of what it actually is does nothing to further our existence. It in fact hinders our existence because
yeah,
it's counterintuitive to us as a species. In the same
yeah,
way that um, roaches to all of a sudden realize these are the motherfuckers that have been like killing our entire cities
yeah.
that we built, you know, like
Or ants.
our ants, you know what I mean? These masterpieces that we've had,
Yeah,
and then mobilize against us. They would never do it. They don't have the that there's no comparison at all.
yeah. The
They
scale
can't
is
do
so.
this.
But they, I heard
We
this
can
quote.
think, we can kind of summarize how they operate,
Yeah,
and then trick them and make them, you know, there's certain species like roaches that breed so fast and build so fast, and ants and that do
hmm
the exact same thing, that's hard to control. But in the end, that's only when it interferes with our existence that we have a hard time controlling it, because then we have to destroy part of our domiciles or
property.
whatever.
Yeah,
So if that is something that is happening, that's a much harder. It's a it's a much less digestible truth, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, when you really compare it to ants, especially, I think ants are so interesting when it comes to bugs. Them and spiders are just they're so unique, you know,
Yeah.
in the way that they operate. I mean, I caught an ant the other day when I was at the homie's house, and I like had it on my hand, and I like put another one like kind of like this, and it like straight up just jumped, jumped in a way that I've never seen like an ant jump. It was like a bigger like red ant or something like that. Maybe a fire ant. I don't think so. It wasn't like
Hmm.
orange enough, but it was a big red one. So
Yeah.
probably one of the chill red ones because I just kind of like he had like no fear. He just like went right up onto whatever was in his way, and he just like kept going. And I like it kind of made me think about like those dreams that people have where it's like they're in a hallway and it just keeps going and going and going. Because I would just kind of like keep moving my hand where he would have to like jump to the next one.
Right. Right.
And then the kids came over and they were like,
Yeah.
getting all handsy with him. But I was like, well, if you want him to like do this and
I'm
not
trying
like
to think
curl up
about.
your
I don't
arm.
think I've seen that.
Yeah, I've never seen an ant like straight up
Jump.
jump. Like it straight up was
It was an
jumping.
ant.
Yeah, it was an ant. It
Not
was
a
just
termite.
nah.
I don't even know if termites can do that, but I can see them doing it more than an ant.
Yeah, that does sound like something they do. But it was definitely like a big red ant. It was not like a small black ant or something like that. It was probably like this big, in terms of like ant scale. So like it was a big ant. And it was just jumping from hand to hand, and I gave it like this infinite escalator.
That is weird.
Yeah,
It was jumping.
yeah, it was jumping.
Like,
I wish I wish we
how much
recorded
air
it.
did it get?
Oh, barely, like maybe an inch, like or maybe like a centimeter
That's a
is
lot.
probably better.
That's a lot for an ant.
Yeah, but it just made me think about like a jumping spider because
But
the way
ants can fly. There's certain ants that can fly.
True, I did not know that, but you're right. There's a lot of ants
Yeah.
that just not even the queens just have wings. Like all of them have wings.
Oh my God, I was just watching a video of I think it was in Japan
Mhm.
where they're taking out these. I don't know if they're. I don't think they're relocating because these fucking hornets are so formidable. I
Yeah,
think they were destroying them, but there's these massive nests
yeah.
of Asian, what we call here murder. I mean, I don't know if that's what they're called in Asia,
Like
but
like those giant
they're like
orange ones.
this. They're
Yeah.
they're huge. Yeah, and they're orange, and they're in there with these like spacesuits on, and they're taking them. They have these big vats of water, and they're just like herding them into the water, and somehow they drown in there,
Yeah.
and then they get rid of them. And I personally am like, can't? Is there a way for you guys to torch them? I mean, that is like seems like a really slow, tedious way to do that, but whatever.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I get the thought process because if something has wings and you get them wet and they're not water
It
bound
was
at all,
enclosed.
they die.
The whole
fast.
area was enclosed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get that too, but I mean,
Yeah.
it and I guess maybe fire would be too hard to control. You don't know if you're getting, even then, you don't know if you're getting them all. You'd have to, I mean, it would just be you resign yourself to a very tedious job.
Pretty much.
Finding all the larvae, everything.
Yeah. And and they're out there. I don't think we have a control on them completely because it's like
Right.
it's That's the other part is it's kind of impossible for us to completely battle bugs without kind of nuking the planet. And even then,
No, we don't.
some of them would fucking probably outlast us. In
They
that
would.
event,
And we don't want. I mean, they're part of our
existence.
ecology. I mean,
Yeah.
there's something that's beautiful about this planet. Um, they, I don't know, that's not something we would go for. It just like
Yeah.
in the end, when we decide to build a city or build a house, we don't care if they live there.
If the bugs are nearby.
They're
yeah.
going away.
Except if it's mosquitoes.
There might be some conservationists out there that will do some things to save something that might be endangered.
Yeah. I mean,
Insect wise, I don't even know about that.
well, there's a ton of bee conservation, like
Mhm.
even here in town. I think we
Yeah.
were, that was us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were working somewhere where they were like, please don't disturb the bees. Like,
Mm-hmm.
give them some space. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
word. I like bees. Bees are chill.
Yeah.
And then, you got a wasp.
As long as
It's
there's not a bunch of them together.
Yeah, bees just make me way less nervous when I see them because it's like, okay, I have to like really step on you or
Ultimately,
like
see, here's the
something
thing: is like
to
what is crazy to
piss you
me
off.
is that we talk about the balance,
Yeah,
and a lot of times we are referred to as the wild card that throws off we do something
yeah,
that throws off the ecological balance with our very existence here on this planet, which tells me that we might not be originally indigenous to this planet. You know what I'm saying? Because we have tendencies to do things that are not harmonious with it.
yeah,
That's just our nature, you know?
yeah,
Every other species, every insect and animal, they exist. They kill what they eat, and they live within that, that whole they live within the chaos of it, right? They
yeah,
don't try to create order in the middle of the chaos, and thus creating a different kind of disorder outside of it, right? And which is
yeah,
what we kind of do. But I don't know. Otherwise, if we're here and we are indigenous to here, it should be in our nature to coexist with everything else here as part of this planet, this
yeah.
ecosystem.
I've always kind of seen it as a responsibility for humans, and it's just because I don't know. We are in a
I think we're starting
position.
to see it that way.
Yeah, we're in a position on this planet where we hold all the cards and can if we didn't care about animals to some degree, I'm pretty sure most of them would already be gone to a degree because we have global reaching effects
We have
everywhere.
developed ourselves though on
Yeah,
this planet, um, in a way that just it has no kind of no respect. And as we're all starting to realize at the same time what's happening, that ship is really hard to turn.
yeah.
It's gonna take a very very long time,
I'm
and if it's gonna take long, happen fast enough to make a difference before something happens,
eh,
that
there is still a large group of human beings that just don't care too. Still,
and
like
that's
that.
and that's
It's a
you're
fight
right.
for their existence just because.
Now more than ever, I guess we have a larger percentage of the population
Yeah,
that actually is thinking about it
yeah,
and thinking about it a way like, you know, I actually I can think bigger. I've opened my aperture. I've widened
yeah,
my aperture so I can see things through a broader lens and not just think of my tiny existence for me myself.
yeah,
That only changed within the last fucking 50 years.
yeah. I mean, life with human beings for animals has been brutal for them.
But
When it
think
comes to
but
coexistence
think
and
about this. Think about the thousands of years that we did.
yeah,
And then one thing changed. One thing happened, and in 200 years, boom, modern civilization.
yeah,
250, maybe a little over that. But you know what I'm saying.
yeah,
And when I say one thing, I mean a couple things happened, and it just there was a very marked moment in history when we went from gradually advancing, gradually becoming more um, invasive. Um, Humans have always fought with, been tribal and fought with each other, but in as far as the planet went, they used it, and it it seemed to be the enemy, right? We had to fight the elements to survive,
yeah,
which was driving us to find ways to outsmart Mother Nature in order to
yeah.
overcome it.
We got smarter than just being, you know, trying not to be prey. You know,
Right.
we kind of started to have more and more of the capabilities to be hunters. In I think the thing that really like led human beings also evolve kind of quickly is the ego. The fact that they started to actively kill things that could before were untouchable to them. Kind of think of like the giant bears, saber tooths, mammoths, anything. like that, these giant animals that they did coexist with, that they started to take down successfully over time and outrun and like outendure, and then when they did kill these things, they started to learn how to like use them to
Right.
survive even better and become even more, because that's the like thing that's always consistent with human beings across the entire world, is that they kind of find a way to like thrive. They're like, human beings are the most adaptable animal on the planet. They're like in cold regions, hot regions, humid, dry, like everywhere on the planet.
And it's
Like,
not necessarily a compliment.
yeah, no, not when you're thinking about it like
Not if
that.
you're
But
a
it's cool. It's the only way I can like
not if you're
think about
and
human
that's
beings as
kind
an
of the I
animal.
know, and I get that, and I think about it that way all the time. And when I think
Yeah,
about it, I'm like, shit, which means we're spreading, and we are not only spreading, but we're evolving.
yeah,
And something happened. There was canon moments that happened that that sped up that evolution exponentially. Um, and there were definitely a few of those, because I mean, there was times when we had like advancements. Um, we have our ages, our our Stone Age, Iron Age. I mean, these were ages. We don't have those anymore.
yeah,
We have the modern age, and it just is its own epoch,
yeah.
and it is the last thing we have until we are gone. And hopefully we get to continue on. But if you see it step outside of our own shoes, the shoes of our species,
Hmm.
and look at it from whatever else might exist out there,
Yeah,
there's things that we could be encroaching upon that we don't understand. We don't understand, and we're encroaching upon it in a way that isn't harmonious and might interfere with a greater ecosystem
yeah.
that we just have do not yet have the uh, capability of grokking.
I just hope we learn the lesson from Earth that balance is the key to like continuous existence instead of
Yeah,
continuous, because
like we need to
the
do it fast.
greed and like taking of all resources and the expansionism of human beings is like crazy to me,
Yep.
because even ants, stop at some point,
Right.
they make their kingdom and then they settle.
And they're happy.
Yeah.
They're happy.
And I kind of think about it like crocodiles and predators that are extremely successful, because if we're going from evolution, it's all about succeeding, right? To its very basic ideas. If you're prey, if you're a hunter, you evolve in ways that you think are best, right? And it all comes from what works and what doesn't. So, crocodiles, cats, anything that has been alive for a very long time, they are like very kind of set in their ways, you
Hmm.
know? And dogs are way more amenable. They're like way earlier in the gene line, apparently, kind
Hmm.
of like us, where it is like, they pay more attention to our behaviors and have succeeded and been bred to like kind of be that way too. Like we had a big hand in making
They seem to
dogs,
have
like modern
empathy.
day dogs. Yeah, but they have complex social
Hmm.
systems.
Yeah.
Wolves themselves have always had complex social systems and like family hierarchies,
Right.
and they're very emotive and dramatic animals that are vocal. Kind of the same thing with like orcas. Different ones from around the world have different things. I'm losing the point of what I was saying, but
No.
the way human beings are going right now is we are settling deep into what is successful, just like a crocodile or something like that, that is like years and years of just fine tuning of
And
explosive power and ambush and understanding its environment. We're kind of doing that same
I
thing that a
agree.
super
I think
successful predator
that is
does.
what's happening at the moment. I think we're starting to
Yeah,
understand that. And when I say we're starting to understand, obviously, if you were to look at the news and look at how governments are still interacting with each other,
yeah,
it wouldn't seem to be that way. But it's such a small number of people that control that, and they still operate within a certain paradigm. But the masses, those of us that actually matter, the ones that steer the ship for
hmm,
real, we're the ones that are actually changing. That's what's happening. I mean, we're
yes,
starting to shift the way we look at our existence and how we coexist with everything around us, not just animate objects, but inanimate objects,
Yeah.
how we exist with it. That, I mean, that is, to me and to a lot of other people, I think that it could be ultimately be the one thing that allows us to step out and step off the planet. I
Yeah.
don't think that we are will be allowed to until we understand something very fundamental.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a word is going around right now, and it is empathy. And what that empathy does, it allows you to feel what your whoever you're coexisting with feels.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, you can't hurt that person because it hurts. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And if you have that, if you're instilled with that one fundamental trait, then maybe we'll be allowed to expand. Otherwise, when you can take out whole families and civilizations still, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Small tribes to small countries, or be willing to, for the sake of geopolitical primacy, which is just way, 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 way behind the curve
Yeah.
in order to like get there. Um, but again, I think that the masses um, are the ones that are actually hopefully can kind of steer that ship. I mean, when you start looking at your leaders and they're acting like children, you
Mm-hmm.
see them and they present themselves in a way that is practically a caricature of themselves.
Yeah.
It's allowing the masses to see what a farce the entire elitist system has always been for a long time. The problem is that there's a bumpy road in between,
Yeah.
you know, in between now and the other side of that because, I mean, kids don't give up their toys easily when they're really addicted to them, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Um, not that went dark. Sorry about that. But it is. I mean, it's kind of like a way that like when you really just allow yourself to like kind of float back and see everything, um, and observe it from just that 30,000 foot view,
Yeah.
um, 30,000 mile view. You can see a picture of something. You can kind of see what is possible. Um, why it kind of is the way it is right now, and maybe a map from here to there, but it's definitely, you know, it's like looking at the map of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
You know, it's got the it's got a crazy road ahead in
Yeah.
between to reach that.
Mm.
I think hate to do it, but I think it's gonna be about that time for me,
That is fair.
and I do not mean to do that having the last word
Oh, no, that was okay. I
because
think this was really good. I think
yeah,
this was a really good conversation.
it's definitely a lot of food for thought.
I think it's a good example of what we like to talk about, and how we can kind of bounce off of each other and stuff, and just, you know, it being that this will be like our first stream that's like, up there, and if people come and check it out,
It'll be out there. Hopefully, if we do the right tagging stuff like that, it'll get
yeah,
seen. But ultimately, this definitely helped to get a chance to jump in there and actually do it.
yes, we
I've heard
appreciate.
so many people. I'm sorry,
Oh no, you're good. I
but I'm
was,
just gonna say some of my favorite content creators have talked about this very fact, and
yeah,
it kind of made me feel a little bit better about it, about how difficult it was to pre-record, have time. If you have a life outside of doing this, how difficult it is to pre-record, edit, and get it up and get it online and all that.
Yeah.
And they had to choose the streaming route, and that leaves you open to a lot of mistakes, um, and exposes you to just embarrassment. So
Yeah.
it just kind of has to be what it is. So thank you for watching when you get a chance to watch it, and we hope to see you the next time we come around.
Yeah. Should start coming out pretty frequently now. So we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.